Good morning, good morning, good morning, and thank you for joining me on Friday's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. I am your host, Sharifa Hardy, and I have an amazing group of women for you today. We've been having a lot of women on during National Women's Month, and so we've been able to share their stories, and they are so incredible. I can't wait for you to meet some of the ladies that I met backstage, but you know what I do. Every day, Monday through Friday, I invite you to be an evangelist for the Roundtable Talk Show. I am absolutely sure there's someone in your network, someone in your house, I don't know, someone in your building, someone in your neighborhood, but there's someone you know who needs this information. The information that they can learn today will help them not only in their business, but in their life. But they won't have this information unless you go ahead and share the show with them. So send that text, send that tweet, make that post, but let your network know the Roundtable Talk Show is live because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. And I know today's going to be an exciting show. And as always, I didn't tell today's guest, but you already know what day it is. It's Friday, and there are two shows you do not want to be on. That's my Monday show and my Friday show. Mondays, I've had way too much sleep. Fridays, I haven't had enough sleep. So there's absolutely no way for me to know what I'm going to say. But tune in because it's going to be interesting. So while you're sharing the show with your network, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my first guest. And you definitely do not want to miss Miss Karen Ford. Karen Ford is a motivational speaker and master financial coach. She will move listeners to break the chains of debt as well as give practical insight in how to create and build wealth. Karen speaks at seminars and conferences, motivating people to demolish debt and build wealth. Karen points people in the direction of debt freedom, ministers prophetically, and releases a wealth anointing. Good morning, Karen. How are
Good
you?
morning. Awesome. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Oh, it's Friday, Karen, and I heard some words in there. I'm like, okay. I was with you with it. Hey, I'm an ordained minister, so I get it. But I was with you and we were talking about wealth, and all of a sudden, and then we started talking about prophecy and anointing. I'm like, I have to meet this lady. Karen, who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Oh my gosh, I'm passionate about money. Let's
Yes,
put
praise
the
the Lord. Yes.
rubber meeting the road right there. I'm a master financial coach, and this is where it's really interesting. I am actually a registered nurse. However, I have not practiced as a nurse for several years because I kind of transitioned into the money related arena. And I look at it like this, Sharifa, and others on here as well. As a nurse, I helped people get healthy physically, but as a master financial coach, I help people get healthy financially. And both of those are so important. And you know, stress is such a big deal today, especially in the middle of this pandemic. Some people lost their jobs, some people were laid off, some people have had a wake-up call in the money related arena. They wish they would have saved more, they wish they would have invested, they wish they hadn't bought that $70,000 truck. Lots of different cases out there. But listen, we don't need to condemn ourselves. We don't feel shame. We recognize where we are, the things that we wish we hadn't done, and then we make the necessary adjustments. And that's where I come in. And I like to see people win with money, just like a coach, or you know, if you go exercise, which I need to get back into that.
So do
You
I.
know,
Don't feel bad.
that coach is telling you, do those sit-ups, do those push-ups, lift those weights, and we're like, but we're so glad when it's done because we like the result. That is what I do financially. It's time to do that budget, which, yes, it is not a four-letter word. It really is not. And it's time to demolish debt, and it's time to build wealth. And whether you're 18-year-olds or you're 80 years old, it's never too late to learn about money and what you need to do. If you are still breathing, it's time.
I qualify because I'm still breathing. What is a wealth anointing? That's what I've been waiting. What is a wealth anointing, Karen?
Well, there's a passion on the inside of me, and those who believe in God and those who know what I'm talking about, there is, there's an impartation where whatever is within that person can come upon you. Now, that doesn't mean it's some kind of magic formula and you get to sit home and never work again and expect money to fall out of the sky. That is not the way it works. But there's an impartation that occurs. What's in my life can come now into your life. And what is going on with me financially can now happen with you as well. There's an impartation that occurs. I can't explain it any other way than that. But if you're one who wants to win with money, you're one who wants to learn about money, and you want to become a wealth builder, listen, if you're a Bible believing person, it says that God imparts to all of us. He's not a respecter of persons. He's a respecter of faith. So if you have faith and you can believe, wealth is not just for your neighbor. Wealth is not just for your Aunt Martha. Wealth is not just for somebody else down the street. Wealth can be for you as well. So that's where it is.
I like it. And you are a registered nurse.
Yes.
But you have, just from speaking, I would love for you to be a nurse because you have that, if I was sick, because you have that nice bedside manner. You seem so caring, and you've taken that into finances and wealth building, but you just seem like you really care. I think that's important because I would be a horrible nurse. Like I would be like, just get up already.
But I really care about people. I really do. And money is so important. You have to have money, right? I mean,
Right.
money matters. I have a book called Money Matters, and I entitled that for two reasons. Number one, money does matter. You have to have money to live. You have to have money to buy food. You have to have money. But I entitled it Money Matters as well because that book talks about all the matters related to money. It talks about budgeting. What's a proper budget look like? Do you know that 70% of Americans today live paycheck to paycheck? That is very scary. That's 7 out of 10 people. So we talk about how to properly budget. What are the steps in wealth building? I mean, who doesn't want to build wealth, right? What are the ways to do that? And then the keys to debt demolition. Most people have credit card debt today. There's 5 of us on here right now, right? 5 of us on here. I can almost venture to say 4 of us have credit card debt. I'm not one of them.
Oh, wow. I've been working on my credit this whole pandemic. I've gone up over 100 points. So I've been taking care of my debt, but I definitely hear you, Karen. And I think that number is much higher than 7 out of 10. One of the things I talked about during, when I'm campaigning politically is most Americans are one paycheck away from being homeless. One emergency, one oops, I didn't know this bill was due. And next thing you know, they're living on the street. Karen, this is such an excellent conversation, but I am going to come back to you. Okay. I want to find out if our next guest is interested in building wealth, as well as her story. Ms. Faizun Kamal. Faizun is an award-winning franchise coach, nationally renowned public speaker, and best-selling author. As CEO of the Franchise Pros, Faizun coaches people nationwide on making the transition from employee to entrepreneur. Her best-selling book, The Right Franchise for You: Escape the 9-to-5, Generate Wealth, and Live Life on Your Terms, is the guide that thousands of clients have used to find their perfect fit franchise. Good morning, Faizun. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. It's lovely to be here with you and everyone else. And man, you just set me up to go after Karen.
I did. I saw your bio and I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
I don't know that I can follow Karen's lead. By the way, Karen, you are most certainly my soul sister. You and I have to connect.
All right.
Absolutely.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, you spoke to my soul, my friend.
Oh.
But thank you, Sharifa. It's a delight to be connected. It's as you were kind of teeing up and introducing us, this is what I thought. In a world where all of us are in so many different places, right? And we have social media and we have technology and there's the pandemic that's still raging. Somehow, some kind of way, all 5 of us managed to somehow find our way to each other.
Yes.
That is not a coincidence. There's a
Absolutely
reason
not.
I was meant to meet all of you this morning. Don't know what it is yet. With
Yes.
Karen, I'm starting to sense something. Sharifa, I already have a sense. You know, Christine and Katina, don't know yet, but there has to be a reason why. I'm delighted to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that because I tell people I came up with the idea on March 3rd, 2020, and then I officially launched the show on March 30th, 2020. And I was so nervous. And I was like, you can't just take five complete strangers from five different industries and throw them in a conversation. Over 200 episodes, and 1 year later, the thing that I have learned is that in almost every show, it's a theme. The guests wind up talking about the same topic or having some type of similarity. And I was like, wow, this is just, it's unbelievable how it just happens, because I don't schedule the guests on a date they want to appear. The guests schedule themselves, and somehow it works. So I appreciate you saying that. But Faison, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And what are you passionate about?
Um, I would say very similar to what Karen said, Sharifa. I help my clients stop making a living and help them design a life. Two very, very different things. In my work, I just do two things. I call myself a two-trick pony. I just do two things. And the first is that first client who, just like I did, they're ready to leave corporate America. They're done. They're done being an employee. They may have had desires to start a business in the past, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen. They've heard about franchises as a proven way to reduce risk going in, and they want to explore that more. They say, you know, in this next chapter of my life, I really want to be able to live life on my terms. I mean, I keep hearing that in so many words from every single client I work with. That's my first group of clients, and I do that through a partnership that I have with several hundred franchise brands that are here in the U.S. and many that operate globally as well. And through this matching and assessment process that I take them through, I bring the two together. That's my first group of clients. The second client really are entrepreneurs who are at a point in their business where they want to grow, but they either, for a lack of time or a lack of money, in most cases it's both, they're saying, I feel like I'm stuck. They come to me because they have determined that turning their business into a national franchise brand is the optimal growth strategy for them. So I help those clients with that piece. So in a nutshell, that's franchising is my world, my friend. And you know, beware, if you get me start talking about franchises, you may not be able to shut me up. In many ways, like Karen, you know, I don't use the words that she did, but like her words spoke to my soul. This is how I feel about men and women, particularly women of color, to own their own destinies. Design your life, live your life on your terms. This is my mission. You know, Karen, you talk about wealth anointing, right? You say, I can't really describe this any better. I get you, my friend. This is the best way I know how to describe what it is that drives me every morning.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. It's a feeling, it's an energy that goes out. And I love to see the passion in both of you. Now, Faison, I'm going to come back to you. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, and we'll see if they have the anointing as well. Miss Katyna Knapton. Katina is 28. She's a mother of three and married for 9 years. She grew up in Haiti and moved to the US when she was 14 years old. Wandering Child Co. came to life after she found a sewing machine left behind by the previous homeowners. She quickly hopped on YouTube to figure out how to use it, and now she offers peplums, rompers, and bloomers for girls up to 5 years old. She also wanted to make a difference in the world, and that she donates 12 meals for every one item she purchases. Good morning, Katina. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Wow. Okay, wait. I had to go back to your bio for a minute. I gotta take a look. Okay, you don't look 28. Are you 28 now?
I'll be 29 in July. I get that a lot. I don't look as old as
16.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that doesn't take him from away from your important work. Let me be serious for a minute. But I just been looking, I'm like, wait a minute, you're almost 30. Wow, that's okay. You look amazing. But let me focus on the business. Let's talk about Wandering Co. What is Wandering Co?
Wandering Child Co. is a handmade clothing company that I started in 2019. And almost kind of like by accident, I found a sewing machine in the garage, and my mom wanted me to sell it. And I was like, you know what, let me see. Like, I've always been fascinated, like watching seamstresses make my uniform in Haiti. And I was like, oh, I don't think I could do something like that. And so I hopped on YouTube and I watched a few videos. Then I found a few patterns online and made a pair of shorts for my son. He was 18 months at the time, I believe. And I was like, you know what, I can do this. And I started getting more patterns and making clothes, and connecting with other women-owned business on Facebook, just because I didn't know anything about running a business really, and connecting with them. And the journey has been amazing.
Okay, so you connected with a woman, you learned about running this business, and then all of a sudden your life changed. You make it sound like the American dream, but I want to go through this process because it could not have been as easy and as problem-free as it appears. I mean, I'm sure there were some struggles, some challenges that you went through, not to focus on the bad side, but that's what we learn from and what our viewers learn from.
Yes, I definitely had some challenges. I had to find my voice really within my business and what I wanted to offer my customers. And for the longest, I would compare myself to other shop owners who would open their business and they would explode. And I'm sitting here like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Like, what's going on? But I kept moving forward. And when the pandemic happened, I almost shut everything down. Like, okay, what am I doing this? Maybe I'm not meant to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I got a phone call one day, and I had been selected to be on QVC and HSN for the Small Business Spotlight. And I was like, wow, oh my goodness, they see the value in what I'm doing and my brand and the community I'm trying to build. So that was very, that was amazing.
It was amazing, but what's interesting to me, and maybe it's just me, because I can tell you right now, Katina, Faizun and Karen are dying to jump in. They are. I can see them by their faces, but we're going to get their comments in a minute. But what's interesting to me is at the point where you got frustrated and you kind of wanted to throw it all away, that's when the doors happen. I've seen that. I mean, the doors open. I've seen that happen so many times in my life. Even with this show, I felt early on, maybe about 3 or 4 months into production of the show, I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing anything. I don't know if this is actually helping people or working. And then I got 2 offers really based on people watching the show and doors that opened up because of me being a host of this show. And if you give up, then you'll never see how far you can go with this business. Now, Katina, I am going to go back to you. I just want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, the lovely Miss Christine Nguyen. Christine is a junior at Washington University in St. Louis, pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with majors in healthcare management and marketing. She is extremely passionate about healthcare reform and is grateful. Limitless gives her the opportunity to continue to keep her uncle's legacy alive and to give back to a community that has been such a support network for her family. Good morning, Christine. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How you feeling with these wonderful ladies?
I'm very much out of my, you really set me up last. Bios, in my short-lived years of experience in comparison.
No, I didn't mean to set you up, but I go with the spirit, like whatever moves me, and I'm reading through the bios. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with my heavy hitters first and then come back to Christine, because I'm sure the heavy hitters are going to be able to help Christine. That's what we do on this show. So wherever you are right now, Karen and Faizun are dying to be able to just jump in there and give you some words of wisdom, I guarantee. So Christine, I love the fact that you're doing this while you're at university. That's amazing. But talk to us about Limitless.
Yeah, so Limitless has been my passion project for a few years now, and we officially became a 501c3 nonprofit in 2020 in response to the pandemic. So our mission is kind of twofold. Our first mission is providing handmade items to patients during times of really like distress, just like being able to aid some of that comfort. And we have a really heavy emphasis on systems that serve very heavy populations of BIPOC, low income patients, rural patients, and other marginalized groups, because we believe that these inequalities in the system are not random. They're not due by chance. They're systems working in the ways that they're designed to, and we need to design more just institutions to really combat the inequalities that have surfaced. And our second part of our mission is more on that education side. So many Americans, like myself, have served caregiver roles for family members, and many people know like the emotional toll that that takes, as well as often being so intimidated by like the vast amount of information there, coupled with the emotional challenges in regarding a loved one's diagnosis. So our second part of our mission really focuses on being able to provide resources, community, different informational networks, as well as different pieces of information regarding healthcare policy, different like hot topics in healthcare right now, or other information that might be useful to caregivers or this community, especially with an emphasis on hoping going into 2021, being able to really branch out that into providing language of different information in different languages, just given that in healthcare there exists that barrier with jargon as well, in addition to linguistic barriers. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic really showed us what happens when that communication chain is slow and information isn't disseminated to the communities that need it most.
Wow. I just felt like I was watching you on the news. You are, I don't, look, I need to see a college ID or something. I don't believe you in university, because if this is how you are right now today, 20 years from now, I'm be watching the news and hear Christine's views on what's going on in the world. That was amazing. I am completely impressed.
Yeah.
But on a side note, because I love to just, especially on a Friday, not be too serious. Have you watched the movie I Care a Lot?
I have not.
On Netflix? Has anyone watched I Care a Lot on Netflix?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so
amazing. Yeah.
Christine, the only reason I'm asking is because I watched this movie on Netflix, and I know we're not supposed to encourage our children to watch Netflix all day, but if you can watch this movie, it was so interesting. It's about this lady who's a caregiver, and then she basically takes all these people, all these old senior citizens, for their money, and then she tries to take the wrong senior citizen, and it's just a hilarious movie. But a lot of people, I had another guest who's a caregiver, she said she started getting calls from people just simply based on this movie, because they were like, how could these things happen, and how could there be holes in the system? So I was just wondering, I would definitely just recommend watching it for your research, because there are definitely a lot of holes in the healthcare system, and Karen's over there nodding her head. She's a nurse, she knows. Christine, we're still on you. So where do you see, because this is what Faison, I can read Faison's mind, what she's dying to know. Where do you see this business going? Are you looking to expand? Where do you see it in a few years?
So we definitely see it expanding in our first 8-ish months of operation now. We've redistributed over $7,000 worth of in-kind donations across multiple communities, zip codes, especially in high-risk populations, and have launched several of our initiatives. I really see us going national and expanding to different states. Currently, we have a volunteer network spread across 12 plus states, I believe, right now, and our executive team is spread across 4 states. So we definitely have been building that infrastructure and working to move into different communities, and building out our business model.
I feel like I'm watching Facebook be created, because you're speaking. I'm like, is everybody in your administration in the university?
A good chunk of like a lot of our volunteers are all over the place, and like they're either career educational journeys, but our executive team, our core team that's really worked to build out the business model, the partnerships, and that have kind of launched this organization are all in university across the country.
Wow. Faison, what are your thoughts? Because I'm impressed.
The first thing I thought about, Christine, as you were talking, and you and I should certainly connect offline. I'd like to introduce you to someone. You may be, I don't think you are early on in the process. I think you may be just right to join. She runs an organization. This lady is phenomenal. In fact, Sharifa, I need to connect you with this lady as well. She runs an organization, look it up, it's called Women Elevating Women. WEW. Her name is Betty. I call her the networking business godmother that I never had. Okay. She is phenomenal. She runs essentially a mastermind group of women-owned businesses. Karen, something else that you might want to look at as well as Katina. These are women who come from any industry you can think of, product, service, doesn't matter. They come together and, guys, it's also one of those things where I know you've all had this experience, so don't lie. I can tell if you're lying, okay? We've all had this experience. It sounds nice when we say we women have each other's backs. It doesn't always happen.
True.
Certainly hasn't happened all my life.
True.
With Betty, I have found a group where that is absolutely true. And Christine, when you are at the point that you are in, and Katina, and I'm making assumptions, you may not be as early on in your business, Katina, it's worth surrounding yourself. It's worth it anyway, always, but it's worth when you're early on in your journey to surround yourself with women who will speak your name and think of you and refer people to you, particularly when you are not in the room. It's one thing when you're in the room, but when you're not, and they speak up and say, oh my gosh, God, you need to talk to Christine. Oh my gosh, you need to speak to Katina or Karen, right? Those are the kinds of women, people, men and women, that you need to surround yourself with. So you and I, Christine, let's ping offline. I'd like to do an introduction for you with Betty.
Of course.
Yes.
Amazing.
One of the things that I found was interesting, and I want to go back to, is when Christine talked about homemade items. I was like, Katina, that's an area that you can maybe help with. What are your thoughts?
Yes, definitely. I'll be interested to connect with you on that.
Yes, because you make handmade items, your business is growing, you want to expand as well. And so we have some people that we can maybe introduce you to. Now, Karen, we've talked to Christine, we've talked to Katina, we talked to Faizun, and I'm sure your mojo is over there working. What are your thoughts on the conversation so far?
Oh my gosh. When Katina, when you were speaking and when Sharifa introduced you, and you shared that you saw that sewing machine and you thought, well, I'll give it a whirl. I just thought, how many people have undiscovered abilities and capabilities, and you discovered something about yourself that, first of all, that you could sew, secondly, that you could make something, and thirdly, obviously it's a passion for you. And I'm just thinking, wow, I have said so many times to people, step out and find out. I mean, for those of us that read the Bible, Peter, he walked on the water, right? He didn't know that he could walk on the water until he got out of the boat. So you kind of got out of the boat, in essence, when you discovered that sewing machine and thought, well, let me see if I can do it. And you've discovered a passion within yourself. And I think so many times people have something undiscovered within themselves because they haven't tried something. All of us have tried something. Every one of us on here have tried something. Sharifa tried doing these podcasts and doing this, and look at how successful it is. Faizun discovered something about herself. All of us have discovered something about ourselves simply because we tried it. And look at, right now we have an audience listening to us. What are some things that maybe you have not discovered about yourself simply because you haven't gotten out of the boat or tried something? I say, hey, try it out. You'll find out if you can do it or not. And look how wonderful that is, and how successful, and that you've been asked to be on QVC and be the spotlight there. I'm just thinking how amazing that is. Just do it afraid.
Yeah.
If you're afraid, you're not going to make, hey, do it afraid. Who cares? Right?
Yes, I agree. And that was an excellent point. Thank you for that. Going back to that, Karen, because the whole idea, if I would have moved into a home and there was a sewing machine in the garage, that sewing machine would be on the curb for the trash day the next day, because I personally would not have done anything with this sewing machine. So you not only kept the sewing machine, but you said, let me figure out how to use it. And so you went to YouTube, watched some videos, taught yourself how to sew, and that wasn't enough. You didn't just stop there. You said, hey, now that I know how to sew, let me make a business out of it. And you did that, started a business, and have grown from there. Where do you see your business going? Do you see it as a franchise or expanding?
I don't see it as a franchise, just because I'm a person who likes to be in control and just want to make sure I can I have my hands in everything and I can be there. But when I sat down to do my vision board, I actually put F500 on there. I'm like, I want my business to, that's my goal, to be a Fortune 500 company. I don't know how, that's my goal.
Okay, so basically we like your goal, but we here to help you. This is what we gonna do. We gonna take your F500 and we gonna scratch out one of them zeros, right? And you gonna be a Fortune 50, right? At least, or 2 zeros and make you at the top. You know, that's just who I am. But then also I want to tell you in life that control is an illusion. It's not real. It doesn't exist. No matter how you operate your business or what you do, control is an illusion. I know for a fact, one of the hardest things for me to do, even when I was an employee and they asked me in interviews and now running my own company, is to delegate. Like, it's hard for me to delegate because I am a perfectionist with OCD, right? So it has to be done a certain way, which is my way. But it's very difficult to grow and expand. And I think when you were talking about not having a franchise because you want control, I think Faizun's ears hurt. So Faizun, how do you franchise and remain in control?
See, there's blood coming out of my ears. Damn you, man, damn you. But believe me when I say, Katina, you have no idea how I identify with both you and Sharifa. I'm in the world of franchising where it's all about systems. It's all about scaling. It's all about replicating. I am the biggest control freak you all will ever meet. Sharifa, you and I, we will be comparing notes. It's that bad.
Yes.
My friend, you made such a wonderful point, which is what we perceive to be our greatest strength. Karen, you'll appreciate this. In many instances turns out to be our biggest weakness. I want to do it all. Nobody can do it the way I can do it. So I'm never going to delegate. Well, here's what's going to happen. You have now stymied your own growth. You will never reach anywhere near what it is you're trying to get to. I found that in my own life until I let go of the controls. You know, Katina, when you mentioned QVC, the bulb went off in my head. I never thought I was going to say this publicly ever, ladies. And Sharifa, you may actually end up not, oh, we are Facebook Live. Damn. So, okay, this is not going to go anywhere, but I'll say it anyway. I never thought I would say this publicly. I am the biggest QVC fan. Mm-hmm. There's so much stuff in my house, on my child's body, on my family that comes from QVC, because I think they've created such a fantastic business system. Think of it as a funnel. It's a funnel, right? Yes. And they have put you, Katina, through that funnel. And because you have gone through that funnel, people like me, other than this show where I am bumping into you accidentally because of Sharifa, I would never have met you. The reason why, when I jumped on and I saw your background, it hit me. I have seen your logo on QVC when they were talking about highlighting small businesses of color. I mean, look, I have goosebumps, man, just talking about it. This is astonishing. So look, here's what I will say. We can absolutely, again, talk offline. Happy to do that. You don't have to think of all that yet. Start putting in systems into your business. What does Katina do that is just super duper? Could you document it in a document? How do you do what you do? How do you make a pair of bloomers? I have no clue. You do. What are those steps? What does that look like? How much fabric do you need? How many buttons go into one pair of bloomers? Do you see what I'm doing? Yeah. It's what McDonald's did. How thick is the patty going to be? What kind of buns are they going to use? How thick are the French fries going to be? When McDonald's came on the scene, it wasn't because there were not any burger joints in the country. They were all mom and pops, and they were all of doing their own thing. McDonald's came in and standardized. Can you put some standards into your process, into your business that you're running right now? I would say that. Have that in place. Have that in place. The other thing I would say, Karen, you as a financial coach will appreciate this, and maybe I'm taking away your words. Build a business that becomes a saleable asset, Katina.
Yes.
Should be more than a hobby. It should be a saleable asset, right, Karen?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how do
Yeah,
you
the
do
very fact that you were on QVC tells me that you've got a vision to be big. So don't let go of that vision to hold on to the control, because you can only be one you. You can't duplicate yourself. You can't clone yourself. But if you set up the systems like Faizun just said, then you can have somebody else replicating what you're doing. And you could have franchises all over the country, which means your profits are going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Don't put a lid on yourself. If you put on a lid on yourself, which is only you doing what you can do. I love the word delegate. Hey, I don't have to be the only one that does this. I'll delegate to other people, because I'm only going to be able to do what I can do, but I can delegate to other people that anyone can do, as long as I train them how to do it, what's the process, what's the steps. And if you can do that, which you can, as long as you let go of the control, I recommend a book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's great for control freaks. But literally, you'll be able to multiply yourself instead of just addition. Multiplication is always more than addition.
Ooh,
Well, I like that, Karen. I might have to put that out today. Multiplication is always more than addition.
Yeah.
Woo! That's some words today. We have some words today. Now, Katina, I will say this. I don't want you to feel pressure to do anything, but QVC is huge. You came out with the big dogs and then said, I want to hide my light under a bushel. And we just took that bushel and we threw it away and said, there will be no hiding today.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about their feedback and their thoughts in the conversation, Katina?
Yes, I'm definitely open to that. And for Zoom, we can connect offline, and I don't mind delegating. I had to hire another seamstress to help me sew, and it was the biggest decision I had to make. And I was like, okay, we can do this. Just breathe. And I went with that. So, and I'm also looking to hire more moms to help me and make my items so they can get to stay home with their children, because I was staying home with my kids and we were homeschooling prior to COVID. And it was an amazing thing. So I want to offer that to other moms who want to stay home with their kids, but they're thinking about their finances.
What I would say is this. I always start with the collateral. Put the collateral together for what you want the moms to do or what you want to offer them. If you have a program or a package where they can just simply do what this offer is and then be in business, I mean, it could be some type of, I never recreate the wheel. Look at other models of, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be MLM, but I would look at the MLM model as far as packaging and offering. I mean, there are some great companies like doTERRA and I don't know, other ones that offer you for a couple of $100 the ability to be in business. So I would create the offer and then I would go out and talk to the moms about the offer, because there are so many Facebook groups with millions of moms that are looking for something else to do. But if you don't have a package or you don't have an offer to give them, it's nothing but a conversation that's wasting everybody's time. That's what I would recommend. I remember one guest on the show, she started some kind of program similar to that for knitters. And she has in her community, she has, I think, almost 500,000 moms that are knitters. And I'm like, I didn't even know there were 500,000 people in the world who knit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know that many people were into this. But for everything that you want to do, I guarantee you there's a community for that. And I will create the program and then find the community. Most people find the community and then try to figure out the program. And hey, that's not what I recommend. Karen, what are your thoughts on this program?
Oh my gosh. I think that if you're able to franchise, which you are, go for it. Honestly, go for it. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. Multiplication is always going to be more than addition. So, and you have the ability and capability to increase your profits exponentially. And obviously you're making something that is a great product. You're proud of it. You want to remain proud of it. I get it. But if you can train other people to do what you do exactly the way you do it and have some quality control, this is how it's supposed to look when you're finished with it, you know, and have those quality control checkpoints. This is what it's supposed to look like, etc., so that they're putting out the same type of product that you want to market, you know, that you're putting your name on. In essence, your business is your name. You're going all over the place. Everywhere you're selling that product, that's where you are. So I want to encourage you in that. Don't limit yourself to where you are right now. Yeah.
Yes. Now, Christine. Yes, they go on the strings. Christine, you are in university. We keep saying that, but you started the business. What made you decide to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think what really launched me to like start my nonprofit is I've always like thought about doing it for a while. I was like, you know, this might be something that comes after university, it might be something that comes during. Like I was very much open to the process and whatever time like it hit. Because I've been working on like providing handmade items and stuff to hospitals and working in healthcare legislation since I was in high school. But I was really looking for a way to kind of merge those interests together. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic really like opened my eyes on like, you know, like what does this model look like? Because I had been contemplating for a while, like, you know, how do I really combine that like education legislation, like aspect of healthcare that I love with that like desire to have that more intimate impact and just like helping like one person have a more comfortable journey through their like diagnosis and treatment. And I think with COVID-19 and like seeing like, you know, how many hospitals in my local area needed masks, how like people were looking for like these organizations that could distribute these items in like a quick and like fast manner, but like that infrastructure, those designs didn't necessarily exist. And so I kind of saw that as an opportunity to fill a space that was like very much needed at the time. And being able to mobilize resources, volunteers, and people into providing like a response to assist like our first responders who have been heavily at work for over a year now at this point, which is kind of crazy to think. And similar to kind of what Katina was talking about, I actually taught myself to knit when I was in, I was pretty young. I like started it, I wasn't the greatest at it, and I picked it back up when I was in high school. And I think that's really what kind of jump started that journey in being able to combine it. And I'm very much a person that's like, you know, I don't think anyone's ever doing too much. And like, if you want to do something, you'll make the time for it, you'll make the space for it in your life. And that's kind of how I have been able to balance being a full-time university student with also being a full-time nonprofit executive.
Wow, a full-time nonprofit executive. You can't be at more than 20.
I'm 19. I turned 20 in August. So.
Yeah, that's like you're in university. You're an executive. Even the phrases, the terms, the verbiage that you use it is going to take you to success. Karen, I want to talk to you about verbiage and the money wealth mindset to build on.
Oh, the money mindset is so important. How many times have we thought, well, I'll never get out of debt, or oh, I'll never be that, or I'll never be that. Well, you know, thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, and habits become a way of life. So I teach people in that book, Money Matters, I have a chapter on, does it really matter what you think? And the answer is an absolute yes. Yes, it does. Because if you start having thoughts, well, I'll never get out of debt, and you start speaking that, you're just going to keep getting what you already have. And I heard somebody say, it's a funny phrase, but if you don't want that dog to come, don't call it. So, you know, it's almost like you don't want to lie, but you don't want to say what you're experiencing right now. So if you have debt right now and you want to get out of debt, then you don't want to say, I'll never get out of debt. You want to change your way of thinking and say, oh, I'm out of debt. I've got a plan. I'm doing this every week, or I'm doing this every month. Set a plan, because you're not going to do it unless you have a plan in place, right? I mean, a vision without goals remains a dream. So you might have a vision of being debt free. You might have a vision of building wealth, but unless you set goals to do it, and I know Faye Zoom is right on the money with me on this, you have to put those plans into practice. You have to set those goals and then follow those goals, whatever those plans are. Now, listen, it has to be realistic. You can't say, well, I want to make $1 million in 1 week, and your job is $50,000 a year, right? No, you got to set the goals. Or I'm going to be out of debt in 1 month, and you've got 86 credit cards, which I've coached somebody. Honestly, I had a couple with 86 credit cards, and every one of those credit cards had a balance on them. You can't think, well, I'm going to get the credit cards all paid off within 2 weeks, and your income is not able to do that. It has to be realistic goals. But that's the important thing. Set your goals, have the vision, and then make your plan, set your goals, because if you don't, it's going to remain just a dream. It's not going to happen. Write it down. Always put it before you, just like you have a goal of losing weight, right? How are we going to do that? Okay, you have a goal of being out of debt. How are you going to do that? It's not impossible. Everything is possible. It's just a matter of setting the plan in place and working the plan, right?
Mm-hmm. And that was interesting to me, but I have one question for you, Karen. When you focus, I found that when you focus more on what you want as opposed to what you're trying to get away from, like maybe someone wants to be debt free, but
Yeah.
the focus, the words would be more on wealth building. I want to build wealth. And as a result of focusing on building that wealth, they, through the process, osmosis, become debt free. So would you recommend the focus be more on building the wealth or on removing the debt?
The focus should be on building wealth, but part of that element is getting out of debt. So you still have to have a plan in place on demolishing. I can talk. Hacking at the debt. Okay? You want to get rid of the debt in the process of building wealth. So coming up with those steps, but absolutely, it's so very important. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? And what are you saying? I can't tell you how many times I've spoken with people and they say, well, I want to build wealth. And then every word out of their mouth is, I'll never get out of debt. I don't see how I'm going to get out of debt. Well, you got to see the impossible to make it possible.
Can a person become debt free without becoming wealthy?
Can a person become debt free without becoming wealthy? Yes. Yeah, you can. Some people don't have the vision for building wealth. They only have a vision for becoming debt free. And so if you want to become wealthy and you want to become a wealth builder, then you have to envision that. You have to have a vision board. You have to see yourself doing that. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Faizun, what are your thoughts?
Oh gosh. 3 thoughts as Karen was talking, as really all 3 ladies were talking. First thing I'll say yes before you're ready. We women do not do that. Men do it all the time, right? They look at a job description, they can only do 50%. They go to their bosses and say, I can do this. If it's a woman who's more qualified than the guy, they will wait until they're at like 99%, right? Say yes before you're ready. I did. It wasn't pretty. I'm not saying that it's going to be. So Katina, all these fears you're talking about, it's not going to be fun. You will cuss us out. You will cuss your family out. There will be some not pretty days. But the point is, to Karen's point, do you have that vision in your head? Because if you don't, you will not stay the long haul. You will quit sooner rather than later. Say yes before you're ready. The second thing, I didn't realize that this is what I did. But if I now look back on my life, tomorrow is actually my 46th birthday.
Happy early birthday. Mine's is the 31st. So we in good company, Faizun.
There you go. March babies. I love it. But, it's at 46 years of life, I can look back on this and realize that that's what I did. But I didn't realize it back then. And that is, all through my career, ladies, I have always colored outside the lines. So remember, we were kids, right? We're sitting with our crayons and our coloring book, and our well-meaning parent says, Faizun, be careful. Color inside the lines, right? And it's such a damaging thing that we do to our children. Because what does that say, particularly to girls in our society? Keep yourself constricted. You can never go outside the boundary, right? You're always limiting and holding yourself back. Color outside the lines, whatever it is you do. Christine, Katina, Karen, Sharifa, we are coloring outside the lines. And it means different things for all of us. And then last but not least, guys, believe that you will always be your biggest investment.
Yes.
No one will invest in you the way you will invest in you. So when I got laid off from corporate America after 8.5 years, I was making some really, really good money, guys. And so here I am faced with a decision. Do I go back into the world that I knew a couple months of job search, interviewing, I could get back into a very similar position with the same kind of bells and whistles? But the last 8.5 years, my soul had died a little bit every single day. Was I willing to continue to do that? And I realized the price was just far too much. I was not going to do that. And I said, you know, Faizun, you need to bet on yourself. Because when you bet on yourself, guess what? The world has a very funny way of noticing when you bet on yourself. And people set up and they start betting on you. So those, I would say those were the three things that came into my head as you all were talking.
I love it. I love it. This has been an amazing show. Excellent. I believe that we have given some advice and changed some lives. So, but we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Karen.
I want to say it doesn't matter how much debt you have, you can always get out of debt. If you got into debt, you can get out of debt. And I want to provide that hope. If you want to become a wealth builder and become wealthy, you can do it. Just make the steps necessary and watch yourself excel in that.
Absolutely. So if people are interested in Money Matters, where can they find it or find more information about you, Karen?
They can go to my website, which is karenford.org. All of my books and CDs are on there, but they can also locate the books on Amazon as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. Faizun, what do you have for us?
Sorry, you guys froze for a minute. Sharifa, did you say something to me?
What do you have for us? What is the takeaway from this show?
Yeah. I would say for anyone who's listening to the show right now, if you're feeling hopeless, if you think you are going to be stuck in your career doing whatever it is you do, don't feel that way. There are options out there. If you've ever thought about starting your own business, explore and see if franchise ownership may be right for you. It's an option that, very surprisingly, Sharifa, I find even in today's world, most people don't know about. There's lots of misperceptions. Oh my gosh, it costs $1 million. No, it doesn't. Oh my gosh, I need to be able to do A, B, and C. No, you don't. And in most instances, you are able to not only replicate a 6-figure income if you are in corporate America, but in many instances, my clients have gone on to create 7-figure businesses. So give yourself a chance. Reach out. Always happy to chat with folks reaching out. Thank you.
Okay, and where can they reach out to?
I live on LinkedIn. Apparently, I have been told that there's only one Faizun Kamal on LinkedIn. I'm not that super hard to find. Connect with me there. My website is actually being built as we speak, so I won't hand that out yet because you won't see a whole lot when you go there. So connect with me on LinkedIn. And the ladies, it was an absolute delight meeting all of you today. Please stay in touch. Please stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Faizun. Christine, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I would just kind of echo a lot of what Faizun was saying about really betting on yourself. I think that, like, especially as women, we have this perception not to launch into things until we feel like we're 100% ready or we have everything figured out. And I don't think that's necessarily the case, like whether you're at like in age, like in like financial ability or skill. I think if you really have the passion and the mission and you see something that you want to change in the world, like to just go for it, take a chance on yourself and like learn along the way.
So if people want to find out more about your organization, or what are you looking for? Are you looking for volunteers? What can people do to support you?
Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers, people to contribute both like with time or like financial contributions to our organization as a small nonprofit, or also just strategic partnerships and different opportunities to grow and get our name out there. Our website is b-limitless.org. So it's be-limitless, LIMITLESS.org. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, Christine. Katina, what do you have for us?
Yes, I would echo everything that everybody has said. Bet on yourself, be ambitious, go for what you believe in, even if nobody else believes in what you're doing.
And okay, but tell us about your company and what people can do. Can they go to the website and order?
Yes, you can go to the website and it's Wondering Child Co. at sorry, that's my email address. I'm sorry, it's wonderingchildco.com and it's with an A, not O. And you can find us on all social media platforms at Wondering Child Co.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. I want to thank you all for being guests on today's episode of the Roundtable Talk Show. And I especially want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch this show live, as well as everyone who is watching it in the archives. Just because you didn't catch the show live does not mean you're not important. And it doesn't mean we still don't need your support, because we do. Please go ahead and share the show. But as I always say, we appreciate you not only watching the show and sharing the show, but please support our guests. Visit their websites. Their website link is in the Facebook post. Follow them on social media, reach out to them, connect to them. And when you do, please let them know Sharifa Hardy says hi. Now, if you're interested in more ways that I can help your business, or maybe you want to be a guest on the Roundtable Talk Show, please visit my website at asksharifa.com. Until Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, everyone have a safe and a blessed weekend. Bye now.